You think launching a business is about slapping a logo on a product and waiting for the money to roll in? Think again. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens until you level up yourself. And tonight, right now, if you are still coasting on yesterday's ideas, you're already 5 steps behind. Imagine standing at the edge of a canyon. Below you, a chasm of possibilities, technology, finance, psychology, art, but you are stuck on the ledge, staring at your own reflection in the water. Why? Because you have refused to evolve. Let me tell you, a secret scientists won't share at your average TED Talk ideas are worthless, flash of an empty light bulb icon. If your $1 million concept isn't backed by a turbocharged mind-body ecosystem, it's dead on arrival. Neuroscience proves that every skill you neglect weakens your neural network. In simple terms, if you don't read, train, and reflect daily, your brain literally shrinks, synapses vanish, and your best idea rots in dark. Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." But what if thinking is only the start? Being your habits, your energy, your discipline, that's the real proof of existence. So ask yourself, are you just thinking, or are you being the architect to your own mind? A glowing tripod, mind, neural net, body, muscular schematic, discipline, rears tuning. First of all, intellectual allegedly, quantum physics, stoic philosophy, and marketing psychology, they all share the same pattern, feedback loops. You want allegedly. Start by hacking your own feedback loops. First of all, read a scientific paper at 7 a.m., but specifically, your text must be English level, have to be C2 and over degree, vocabularies and sentences structure, I mean. Teach that concept to someone by lunchtime. Journal your surprise at 9 p.m. That's neural plasticity in action. If your brain is wired to crave novelty, why are you feeling it's the same stale content on social media? Mitochondria, your cellular power plants, operate at peak efficiency only when you get deep sleep and targeted movement. Netflix binging, again 30-minute jogs, that's amateur hour. Try intermittent hypoxia training, 5 minutes of brief holds between reading seasons. You'll sharpen focus faster than any coffee buzz. Grit isn't inherited. It's cultivated through micro habits. James Clear's 1% rule. Cute. I call it the atomic displacement principle. Displace one negative ritual with a positive one at the quantum level. Say one extra push-up in every standing break and watch your entire life shift. Remember the Roman Empire. They didn't conquer by brute force alone. They absorbed the best from every culture. Engineering from the Greeks, administration from the Phoenicians. That is the intellectual welfare. NASA's bureaucratic behemoth moves at snail speed. Meanwhile, Elon Musk forked NASA's code, privately founded engineering plus intense iteration cycles, and Star Wars level rockets were born. You want to dominate your niche. Open source your own advantage. If you are not stealing, I mean borrowing ethically, best practices from every industry, you are just a slow-moving gazelle in a market full of lions. Oh, you think that's plagiarism? No, it's strategic synthesis. Carl Sagan didn't invent curiosity. He codified it. Dreamers dream of castles in the sky. Executors build the foundations, but the real elites. They dream fast and execute faster, balancing on the razor's edge between inspirations and perspirations. Your default mode network, the daydreamer's playground, lights up only when you are not focused. Counterintuitive hack. Schedule your daydreaming. 5 minutes. Rewards limbos every 25 minutes of hyperfocus. You'll surf that creative wave without capsizing. I once interviewed a founder who coded for 48 hours straight. No sleep, no food. It's crazy. He hit a creative brick wall, hallucinated algorithmic dragons, then pivoted to a solution that made him $10 million. Sound insane? That's the gold buried beneath speed deprivation. Tread carefully. So, yes, dreamers, you have a gift, but if you can't channel that gift through a disciplined brain-body machine, it's like owning a Ferrari and never taking it out of the garage. Neuroimagining shows that every time you delay a task, your brain reverts you with a hit of dopamine, but only temporarily. That's why scrolling Twitter feels good until you realize you have learned nothing. Stop fighting procrastinating. Befriend it, label it, creative warm-up. Tell yourself, I'll procrastinate for 5 minutes. Ignite yourself. Tell yourself, but I will start after that. Turns out the brain respects its own constructs. Use the reverse do loop. Start with the end in mind. Record a 30-second elevator pitch for your projection on your phone. Play it back when you are stuck. Instantly clarity. If procrastination is your mind's cry for better stimuli, why are you supplying the same old distractions? Warrior brain. You scan for threats fast. That's your pattern recognition superpower. CEOs pay consultants thousands to do what your anxious mind does for free. Flip it. Every worry is a to-do list in disguise. The napping fear about cash flow. That's a project outline screaming for your attention. In 2008, a small fintech startup turned fear of a market crash into a proprietary algorithm. They grabbed 300% while everyone else was hiding under the couch. So next time you feel that cold sweat of worry, don't run. Extract the algorithm of your fear, code it into your strategy, and watch your competitors tremble. Quantum entanglement plus supply chain logistic is equal ultra-resilient inventory models. Gödel's incompleteness plus startup pivots is equal expect the unexpected. Evolutionary biology plus user experience design is equal products that adapt to human behavior. If you ever feel lost, remember, the universe is the biggest Venn diagram ever. Your job is to find the overlap. If the only constant in your life is change, why are you still clinging to static identities? Business owner, student, employee, labels are software, not hardware. Rewrite your code. Look in the mirror and ask, am I the same person who started this video? If the answer is yes, you have vested about 30 minutes. Transform or die. It's a joke, actually. Comment below which one of the three Forge pillars, mind, body, discipline, will you upgrade first, so I can watch your evolution in real time. Next time, in another topic, we'll tear apart the innovation myth itself using intangible photons and ancient Greek tragedies. Until then, stay curious, stay ruthless, and remember, the only age you have is yourself. Let's drink coffee, Voyagers. Imagine your mind as a high-performance hybrid engine. One cylinder burns raw creativity, another sips the steady fuel of focus, the third ignites the spark of critical analysis, and the last roars with emotional insight. Now, ask yourself, are you running on all four cylinders or coasting on just one? Tonight, I'm going to show you how to merge your dreamer, mixed, perfectionist, overdoer, and warrior models into the one unstoppable hybrid mind. So you can dodge burnout, blast through distraction, and tap into a supercharged flow state. Ready to rewire your brain? Let's dive deep. Picture this. You are standing on the edge of a frozen lake at dawn. Everything is silent. Time itself seems suspended. You take a step and crack. The ice fears your weight. That's focus. Cold and precise. Now, imagine a crack in the ice, widening, spilling golden light beneath the surface. That's creativity, wild and unconstrained. Most people live trapped on one side of that crack, stuck in either rigid productivity or free-form fantasy. But what if you could exist in both worlds at once? Neuroscientists at Harvard discovered your default mode network, DMN, the Daydreamer Hub, and your Central Executive Network, CEN, the Focus Hub, rarely fire together. They fight each other like rival armies, leaving you oscillating between scatterbrained distraction and soul-crusting hyperfocus. Leonardo da Vinci, the ultimate mixed mind, juggled painting, engineering, anatomy, music, and poetry. He soiled thinking by weaving disciplines into one tapestry. That's your blueprint. Soren Kierkegaard said, to be at home in oneself is to possess half the world. So to be at home in multiple selves, dreamer, analysts, perfectionist, you own the entire mindscape. First, you must name the players in your mental orchestra. I call them dreamer, mixed, perfectionist, overdoer, and warrior. Let's talking about dreamer, the visionary who swaps wild ideas. Mixed, the translator who loops between models like an Olympic gymnast. Perfectionist, the critic who refines every detail into pristine form. Overdoer, the engine that never quits, fueled by compulsive output. Warrior, the sentinel scanning for threats and blind spots. Here is a trap. Every single one of you leans on just two models, maybe dreamer plus overdoer or perfectionist plus warrior, while neglecting the others. That imbalance is burnout. That split in your brain is exactly why you lose hours to distraction or crash after a separate. Let me teach you my patented mode switch protocol, a three-step system to leap from one mind mode to another without wasted seconds or mental whiplash. Pick one sensory clue, your favorite vinyl record scratch, a citrus scent, or a quick cold splash on your wrists. That trigger becomes your brain switch. Close your eyes. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold 2, exhale 6. That's your neural pause. It clears the residual data from the previous mode. Whisper to mode you went dreamer. Analyst, warrior, your brain loves labels. Name it to tame it. You are instantly in focus mode, ready for deep work. Now, let's fuse 2 modes, dreamer plus perfectionist. So you innovate and polish in one go. 1 minute sketch phase, set a 1 minute timer, dreaming, margin, mind map, word, vomit, dottle blueprints, no filter. 2 minute critic phase, timer goes off. Flip instantly to perfectionist, red pen, ruthless edits, drop what doesn't belong. Repeat twice. By minute 24, you'll have a refined concept that's both wild and bulletproof. Switching mode taxes your brain's attentional economy. No dodge, burnout. You need active rest. Look at a single plant leaf. Zoom lens on your phone and count its veins. Science shows 30, 40 seconds. Science shows 40 seconds of focused nature gaze resets your prefrontal cortex. Stand up, tap your torso in a rhythm like you are drumming your leg back to center. It floats your brain with proprioceptive feedback. More reset complete. Ready to revisit any mode at 100% capacity. Here is where most productivity gurus fail. They prescribe static schedules, but your hybrid brain craves rhythms, oscillations, syncopation. Your body operates on 90-minute cycles of high or low alertness. Align your 9 seasons of 52-minute work blocks with 17-minute resets. That's 69% focus ratio. Polymodal task batches. Each block contains 2 models. Start with overdoer for output, then debrief in warrior mode. List risks, refine errors. Weekly model emphasis. Monday, dreamer separates. Tuesday, mixed translation workshops. Wednesday, perfectionist deep dives. Thursday, overdoer marathons. Friday, warrior audit and future proofing. That's your hybrid brain dance card. No dead spots, no overwhelming spreads. Ask yourself, are you the author or the victim of your own mind? If you can't deliberately switch modes, you're at the mercy of metal autopilot, and autopilot crashes. Challenge 1. The 5-mode self-portrait. In one page, draw or write how each of your 5-mode thinks, feels, acts. Brutal honestly. Where is each stuck or overactivated? Challenge 2. The mode swap dare. Tomorrow at noon, deliberately swap from overdoer directly to dreamer. Then report back in the comments with one insight you shouldn't have found otherwise. Challenge 3. The hybrid hackathon. In 1 hour, use the fusion separate method to solve a real problem. Design a client pitch, storyboard a video, rework a without routine. Post your results with hashtag Bayfront Brainwave. I'll personally highlight the most mind-bending ones. Let me tell you about Dr. Sylvia Torres, a neuroscientist who ran into a wall. She was the world's top perfectionist, paper flawless, presentation glacial, but she'd burn out every quarter. At a conference in Basel, she met a graffiti artist who sketched during TED Talks, pure dreamer mode. Sylvia tried the 10-minute sketch phase on her next grand proposal and added a touch of color theory from her childhood art classes. Her revised proposal leaped off the page, securing a $2 million grant. She then built weekly mixed workshop neurogravity, where PhD students rotated modes in 10-minute separates. Accept inner chaos. Invite it. Don't fear the crack in the ice. Swim through it. Here's the ultimate question. Do you want a single mode mind that crashes under pressure, or a hybrid brain that evolves with every challenge? If you are serious about hacking your own mind, hit that like button, subscribe and ring the bell. Drop a comment. Which 2 modes will you fuse first? I'll pick one, fusion and demo it. Live next week. Stay curious, stay relentless, and remember, your next level mind isn't given, it's engineered. See you in the hybrid brain lab. Let's drink coffee, Voyagers. Imagine a Ferrari engine. Now imagine it strapped to a skateboard. Cute but useless. Now imagine that Ferrari engine has 4 cylinders, each running on completely different fuels: creativity, laser focus, relentless perfection, and strategic paranoia. That is your mind when it's fully hybridized. But most of you are either idling in low gear, daydreams, or redlining in burnout. Neither gets you anywhere. Tonight, I'll show you how to fire all 4 cylinders at once, so you can glide effortlessly between bleeding-edge innovation and ruthless execution. Ready to rewire your brain? Let's get started. Picture standing at dawn on a glass-quiet Arctic plain. You take a step and the ice cracks, sharp, surgical, focused. That's perfectionist mode. Now imagine the ice melting, sunlight dancing on water ripples. Wild, uncontrolled, infinite. That's daydreamer mode. Most minds get stuck on one side of that fissure, either hyper-precise or utterly adrift. And what if you could live on the crack itself, harnessing both focus and flow? That's the heart of the hybrid brain. Harvard researchers mapped the default mode network, DMN, your inner daydreamer, and the central executive network, CEN, your focus engine. Guess what? They suppress each other. Flip one switch on, the other goes dark. Your brain is wired for division, not integration. Leonardo da Vinci, Renaissance human incarnate, painted the Mona Lisa while sketching flying machine concepts while distracting cadavers for anatomical notes. He didn't bounce between modes by ancient. He fused deliberately. Kierkegaard argued that being at home in yourself means mastering one identity, but mastering multiple identities. Dreamer, analyst, perfectionist. You transcend the self. You become the architect of consciousness itself. Step 1. Name your inner. I break it down into 5 staring roles. Dreamer, the inventor of big, messy ideas. Mixed, the eagle translator, lapping from creative chaos to analogical calm. Perfectionist, the relentless detail polisher. Or the engine that never stops, always churning out work. Warrior, the sentinel scanning for every possible catastrophe. Here is the catch. Nobody runs all 5 effectively. Most of you alternate between daydreamer plus overdoer until you burn out, or perfectionist plus warrior until you freeze. That is burnout and decision paralysis. Hybrid minds flip between these roles like prodigies, mixing tracks, seamless, intentional, unstoppable. Welcome to the mode switch protocol, my 3-step formula for lightning fast, zero friction, mental shifts. Pick a unique stimulus, a citrus spray, a vinyl record scratch, or even a rapid splash. That becomes your mental switch. Your brain will learn. Trigger is equal switch mode. Therefore, each work sprint activate your trigger. Your brain snaps to attention like a ninja responding to the gong. Close your eyes. Inhale 4 counts. Hold 2. Exhale 6. That neural pause flashes, as I said, residual data from the last mode. This micro reset rewires the switching circuit. No groggy hangover, just crisp recalibration. Whisper the desired mode. Daydreamer, analyst, warrior gives your mind a label to latch onto. Naming requires specific neural ensembles like calling soldiers to a battle station. Now let's fuse 2 modes simultaneously. Dreamer plus perfectionist for breakthrough outputs and immediate refinement. Timer on 10 minutes. Unfiltered mind map. Color scrabbles. Raw ideas. No criticism allowed. Timer flips to 2 minutes. Switch to perfectionist. Drop cliches. Sharpen words. Refine visuals. Repeat twice. By minute 24, you've birthed the polished an idea that earns attention and withstands critique. Static schedules suck. Your hybrid brain craves rhythms, oscillations, syncopation. Here is how to orchestrate your week. Your body cycles every 90 minutes between high and low alertness. Structure 9 seasons of 52 minutes work, 17 minutes rest. That's a 69% focus ratio. Peak productivity without meltdown. Each block pairs 2 modes. Example, block 1, overdoer, warrior, crank content, then risk audit, keeps momentum and quality checks. Monday, dreamer separates. Tuesday, mixed translation workshop. Wednesday, perfectionist, deep dives. Tuesday, overdoer marathons. Friday, warrior, feature proofing. This isn't rigid time boxing. That's a flow schedule that aligns with your neural rhythms. Ask yourself, are you a pilot or passenger in your own brain? If you can't deliberately switch modes, you're at the mercy of mental weather and storm sink ships. When When was the last time you invented something while editing your own work or edited while inventing? Your so-called focus seasons are nothing but glorified scrolling if you haven't rested your neural switch. Look in the mirror. If your mind always feels the same, it isn't evolving, it's stagnant. Meet Dr. Sylvia Torres, a world-class neuroscientist who burned out quarterly. Her lab notes were flawless, her presentations perfect until she cracked. At a Basel conference, she watched a graffiti artist dawdle during TED Talks. Pure dreamer mode. She tried my 10-minute sketch on her next grand draft. Suddenly, color theory from her childhood art journals merged with her synaptic plasticity research. Her revised grant soared $2 million. Then she launched neurogravity workshops, training PhD students in alternating separates of dreamer and perfectionist modes. No more burnout. Chaos is your creative raw material. Don't fear the crack. Swim through it. Final challenge. Will you settle for a single mode mind that crashes under stress or engineer a hybrid brain that thrives on complexity? If you are ready to hack your own consciousness, like, subscribe, and hit the bell, then comment below. Which two modes will you fuse first? I'll demo the top comment in a live workshop next week. Stay curious, stay relentless, and remember, your next level mind isn't given, it's engineered. See you in the Hybrid Brain Lab. Let's drink a coffee. Imagine you are walking a tightrope strung between two skyscrapers. No net, no safety harness. Every breath, every heartbeat matters. Now imagine that tightrope is your work, your creativity, your life. And the fear of a single misstep drives you to walk faster, steadier, more obsessively than anyone else. That is the secret power of perfectionism. But what if I told you that the very tight you call your course, this crippling need for flawlessness, can be turned into your greatest engine for productivity and innovation, and more importantly, how you can sidestep the deadly trap and endless tweaking so you actually finish something before the world ends, ready to turn fear into fuel. Let's jump into the crystal maze. Perfectionism feels like standing in slow motion under a storm of glass shards. Every wrong move risks cutting you. Yet, at its core, it's the purest form of care. You refuse to let anything substandard slip past your own bar. On one side, anxiety, the fear that your work is never enough. On the other, excellence, the unrelenting drive that forges masterpieces. That challenges you are stuck on the nice edge between paralysis and brilliance. Today, I'm your guide across that blade, so you can carve out extraordinary achievements without bleeding out in the process. The word perfectionist gets thrown around like an insult. Too picky, too slow, too neurotic. But here is the truth. In a world awash with mediocrity, perfectionists are the only people capable of creating lasting impact. They are the sculptors who won't rest until the statue breathless. Psychologists at Stanford found that high perfectionism correlates with exceptional attention to detail, and that can boost quality output by up to 35%. Yes, you heard that right. Your obsessive streak is literally enhancing your work's precision. But that same data shows perfectionists spend 60% more time stuck in revision loops. Soren Kierkegaard once wrote, to dare is to lose one's footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself. Perfectionism is the tension between daring to create and fearing to fail. The trick balance. That tension is your fuel, not your bondage. Ask yourself, when did you last ship something imperfect? A blog post with a typo, a draft with a rough edge. Most of you never cross the finish line unless the moon is in perfect alignment. But your audience doesn't want flawless. They want fresh, real, engaging. Better than the perfect is not a cliche. It's a strategic battlefield maneuver. If you wait for perfection, you lose the war for relevance. So, are you a perfectionist or are you a stagnation artist? Now, let's alchemize your fear of errors into rocket propellant. Here are 5 tactics drawn from neuroscience, productivity science, and a dash of guerrilla philosophy to harness the hidden strengths of perfectionism. Deliberately introduce tiny imperfections into low-stake drafts. drafts, one missing comma, one rough image placeholder. Track how fast you catch them in review. That trains your error radar without derailing your project. Your brain hates uncertainty. By micro-exposing yourself to minor slips, you reprogram the neural circuits of dread into circuits of the detection. And that heightens your vigilance when it matters. Define a minimum viable flow threshold, say 2% tolerable error. Use that to set red lines below 2%, ship above 2%, refine. That's like a video game health bar. When you dip under 2%, you heal. When you hover above, you keep going. Epicurists argue that moderation is the secret to happiness. Here, moderation is the secret to completion. Pomodoro plus perfectionist hack. Use 2 Pomodoro cycles for creation. Focused, unrestricted, then allow 1 cycle for ruthless polishing. That 2:1 ratio preserves both wild ideation and precise refinement. Da Vinci famous spent 4 years on his Vitruvian Man before he ever inked a single line. But once he sketched it, he left the draft stands. He balanced marathon incubation with separate execution. Even with those power hacks, perfectionists can spiral. Here's your emergency exit ladder. 3 strategies to avoid the endless loop of refinement. Set an external deadline. Can't control like a public reveal or a client demo. Your fear of missing other people's expectations can override your internal perfectionism paralysis. Your brain reacts more strongly to social stakes than personal stakes. Leverage that by announcing your ship date publicity. When your good enough threshold is met, perform a small ritual. Close the laptop, ring a desk bell, or pour yourself a celebratory coffee that signals to your neural circuit that this project is done. Aristotle believed every action needs an agonist and an ritual give your mind that binary closure, freeing it for the next creation. I honor my craft by shipping my work. Repeat aloud before each review season. You are telling your perfectionist self that completion is also an act of reverence. Repetition rewires soon perfectionism, and completion becomes allies, not enemies. Let me share the story of Awa Nakamura, a video game artist whose perfect textures never saw daylight for 3 years. Awa reworked every shadow, every pixel. When she finally released her demo, the world yawned. It felt stale. Then she tried my error micro-dosing, shipped a concept reel with a deliberately rough animation, then tracked her error catches. Her next demo was faster, more dynamic, and went viral within 48 hours. Her imperfections became her signature style, and she still polishes ruthlessly, but only on the final build. Your mistakes aren't enemies. They are signposts on your path to originality. Time for some soul searching. When was your last unfinished project? Be honest. How many lives did your perfectionism kill? What are you so afraid of? Is it criticism? Obsolescence? The void? Here is the brutal truth. Fear is natural, but inaction is inexcusable. If you can't tolerate a 2% flow, you'll never produce the 100% impact the world craves. Ritual release. Ship a micro deliverable publicly. Tuesday, masterclass deep dive. Study best in class examples. Friday, reflection and affirmation. Document wins and flaws. Set alarms every 2 hours. One for fix a micro flow. The next for declare it done. Keep that oscillation alive. Perfectionism is not your jailer. It's your carbon fiber exoskeleton. Wield it wisely. Let it sharpen your work, not paralyze your output. Now, pick one tactic. Error, microdosing, good enough, threshold, your final ritual, and apply it today. Share your first micro deliverable with hashtag Bayfront Brainwaves. I'll feature the most shockingly finished results next week. Subscribe, hit the bell, and join your community of elite perfectionists who ship. Because remember, done well enough today is better than perfect tomorrow. See you at the finish line, where your flaws become your signature. Let's drink coffee, Voyagers. Imagine your brain as a supercomputer forced to run every application simultaneously. No shutdown button, no sleep mode, emails, pings, deadlines loom, meetings overlap, ideas flooding, you become a bottleneck. That, my friend, is the overdose curse. But what if I told you that your compulsive do-it-all impulse can be harnessed into sustainable vitality, not burnout, and that the secret lies in microscopic pauses, micro breaks, so precise they feel like quantum resets for your mind. Ready to discover how to outrun exhaustion at the speed of thought? Let's dive into the overdose vitality protocol. Picture lying on a beach at sunset, waves lapping, mind quiet, body recharging. That's rest at its peak, a precious commodity for overdose. Now imagine separating a marathon with no water breaks, limbs burning, lungs having, mind fraying. That's burnout. The agreement point of relentless overdrive. Overdose oscillate between these poles, extreme exertion and desperate collapse, because they mistake non-stop action for productivity. Tonight, we'll learn to integrate rest within action, to plant oasis of calm inside the desert of your to-do list. Multitasking is a myth. Your brain isn't a multiprocessor. It's a serial machine that switches rapidly, paying hefty costs in time and attention. Each context switch burns up to 40% of your productive bandwidth. Research from the University of Michigan shows that 30-second breaks every 20 minutes can sustain focus for 250% longer and cut perceived fatigue by 50%. These aren't vaccination. They are micro breaks, tiny injections of renewal. Heraclitus taught that stability emerges from flux. You cannot step into the same river twice. Overdose treat life as a non-stop torrent. No surprise that eventually they drown, but measured tapping, small pauses let you navigate currents with agility. Ask yourself, when did you last feel both on fire with energy and utterly calm in mind at the same time? If you can't remember, you are mistaking motion for progress. Work without pause is corporate propaganda. If your culture glorifies stress, you must revolt with micro rest. Dare to be labeled the guy who stops. Here is the overdose vitality protocol, a 6-step system blending neuroscience, chronobiology, and mindful hacks to transform your do-it-all dry into a sustainable superpower. 20 minutes of pure focus on your highest impact task. 30 seconds of sensory reset. Look at a single point on the horizon. Close your eyes and feel a textured object. 1 second of breath rescue. Inhale 4, exhale 5. This 20-second window flows your prefrontal cortex with oxygen, clears buildup of adenosine in your synapses, and primes dopamine pathways, all in 30 seconds flat. Assign 3 landmarks in a mental place: childhood home, a favorite cafe, the summit of mountain during micro break. Mentally walk from landmark to landmark, visualizing vivid details. This memory jog activates the hippocampus, consolidates recent learning. The recent working memory registers like hitting Ctrl-Alt-Delete on your RAM. Micro drumming, tap your tights or desk in a 4-count rhythm. Engage somatosensory cortex. Cross body taps. Right hand, left shoulder. Left hand to right hip. Stimulates both brain hemispheres. These simple movements release BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, the growth hormone for your neurons, keeping synapses alive even under heavy load. Cup your palms over closed eyes. No light leaks. Hold for 15 seconds. Feel darkness. Feel your visual cortex letting in recharge. Leonardo da Vinci reportedly did this between portrait studies. He called it dark bathing for the eyes. When your phone pings or a timer chimes, resist diving in. Instead, collect tasks mentally. Note them on a pad, then continue your current work for the remaining 20-minute cycle. Marcus Aurelius would journal only at dawn and dusk. He didn't chase every flashing signal of empire. You too can't batch the world's demands into fixed intervals. Let me tell you about Jason Lee, a tech startup co-founder who lived on energy drinks and 4-hour sleep cycles. He launched product after product until his mind blanked. Citation vanished. Code wouldn't compile. Creativity evaporated. Jason stumbled on my 20-30-10 cycle. He forced himself to micro break every 20 minutes. At first, he felt inefficient until his error rate dropped 30%, 35%, feature completion soared 50%. Then there is Aisha Patel, a best-selling author whose words dried up under pressure. She adapted memory place pauses. During writing, she'd conjure her grandmother's porch. Suddenly, metaphors flowed freely again. These aren't gimmicks, they are narrow hygiene. You clean your body. Why neglect your brain's wiring? Now, I challenge you, which part of your brain has you believing no pause is equal more work? Whose voice planted that lie? Your boss, your peers, that inner tyrant? And more importantly, what price have you paid for believing it? Insomnia, anxiety, missed moments with loved ones. Enough. It's time to turn breaks into into your sacred weapon, not your weakness. Let's wave these protocols into a daily vitality tapestry, an outdoors rhythm that powers peak performance and deep rest. Morning activation. 3 times 20, 30, 10 cycles to bootstrap your brain. 2 times a palm. Peak rest immediately after checking critical messages. Midday search. Memory place pauses during lunch transition. 10 minutes. 5 minutes. Kinetic micro ritual break at 2 p.m. Crossbody taps to stave off the slump. Afternoon reload. Clue and collect. Batching of all the remaining notifications. All contact switches until 4 p.m. Final 20-minute focus sprint. Then 30 seconds of sensory rest plus 10 seconds of breath rescue. Evening shutdown. 2 times 5 minutes of low light memory place reflection. Wind down neural activity. 5 minutes journaling. What did my breaks teach me today? Orders. You are not machines. You are intricate ecosystems. If you keep hammering without pause, you crack. But if you embed micro oases of rest inside your work, you become unstoppable. A powerhouse of creativity, clarity, and calm. Tonight, choose one protocol. 20, 30, 10 cycle, memory, pause, or kinetic micro ritual, and implement it in your next work season. Then share your experience with hashtag Bayfront Brainwaves. I'll spotlight the most radical transformations next week. Subscribe, hit the bell, and join your community of overdosers who thrive without burning out. Because remember, rest isn't an enemy to be defeated. It's the sacred algorithm of progress. See you in the Vitality Lab. Let's drink coffee, friends. What if I told you that your worst enemy, your racing, fear-fueled mind, could become your greatest creative ally? Imagine channeling every what if it all goes wrong into a lightning bolt of insight. That is the sacred journey from anxiety crisis to focus summit. Tonight, I'll show you how to turn catastrophizing into a laboratory for invention. So you stop drowning in worst-case scenarios and start surfing them. Ready to hack your worry into your most potent superpower? Let's ascend together. Picture lying in bed at night, heart pounding as your mind repays every possible disaster. Lost job, failed relationship, global collapse. That's warrior mode. A relentless loop of what if. Now imagine standing on a razor's edge above a gulf of unknowns. But instead of trembling, you harness that adrenaline to sketch solutions on the cliff face. That's Focus Summit, where anxiety becomes the rocket fuel of creativity. Worry isn't a glitch in your wiring. It's your brain's early warning system. But most people tune it out or panic. What if you could upgrade that system to invent prototypes of failure and then neutralize them before they happen? Neuroscientists have discovered that moderate stress releases cortisol and norepinephrine, sharpening attention and memory consolidation. In controlled bursts, anxiety can boost creativity by up to 30%. Seneca taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. But if you guide your imagination map out every catastrophic scenario, you transform imagined pain into a strategic advantage. Ask yourself, how many hours have you wasted in loops of what if? And how many ideas have died in that spiral? What if you could redirect that energy into designing bulletproof planes instead of breaking place? Here's the truth. Anxiety is pure data. Your brain scanning for threats. The question is, do you let data paralyze you, or do you analyze it and act? Welcome to the Warrior's Ascent Protocol. 5 mental workouts turning catastrophic thinking into creative problem solving. List your top 3 what if fears. Keep them sharp. What if my product fails on launch day? What if I lose my audience? Spend 5 minutes sketching the worst possible outcome in vivid detail. Press releases, angry tweets, abandoned carts. Now, flip the page. Brainstorm 10 micro solutions for that scenario, each no more than a sentence. Quantity over quality is first. This engages your ventromedial prefrontal cortex, the seat of risk assessment, and reprograms fear into actionable steps. Draw a circle inside, write your fear around a circle. Draw spokes, label each with a proactive action. Backup plan, partner outreach, marketing blitz. Aristotle's golden mean teaches balance. Too little caution is reckless, too much is paralyzing. This circle positions in you the wisdom zone. Grip ice or splash cold water on your face for 10 seconds. The sudden jolt resets the amygdala, interrupting runaway worry loops. Keep an ice pack at your desk. When your mind races, snap it on your wrist. Shock is equal reset. This taps into the cold pressure response, folding your system with alertness chemicals and snapping you back to present focus. Every evening, jot one new what-if scenario and one wild, even absurd creative solution like onboarding a celebrity hamster for social proof. Absurdity liberates your default mode network, triggering novel neural connections. That's where breakthroughs are born. Once a week, run a 10-minute tabletop sim. Read your worst case, assign roles, customer, peer lead, tech rescue, and improve your response. NASA uses similar sims to prepare for launch failures. You can use it to bulletproof your projects. Meet Lena Ortiz, a freelance designer whose anxiety had her burning midnight oil, only to produce panic-driven typos. She tried catastrophe prototyping, mapped out her top fear, client hate design. He sketched 10 fixes. Lena's next pitch included real-time mockups demonstrating each fix. The client was blown away, and her anxiety shifted from dread to design refinement. Then there is Mark Chang, a podcaster who feared zero downloads. He ran a mini disaster sim, role-playing a PR crisis. He crafted absurd but viral rescue stunts, including live podcasts from a haunted house. Downloads quadrupled overnight. Their stories show worry isn't just fear, it's data waiting to be mined. Now look in the mirror and ask, which fear have you never prototyped? Which disaster have you never simulated? Which creative fix have you never written down? If you can't answer all three, you are sitting on a gold mine of ideas you have never mined. Stop hoarding your fear, use it. The path from anxiety crisis to focus summit runs through guided fear. You have seen the protocols. Now it's your turn tonight. Choose one. Catastrophe prototyping, naturalizing circle, snap out of its technique, creative fear journal, or mini disaster sim, apply it. Then share your wildest solution in the comment. Hashtag Bayfront Brainwaves podcast on YouTube, whatever you want, and tag me. I'll feature the most ingenious on the next live stream. Subscribe, ring the bell, and join your league of warriors turned warriors. Because remember, your anxiety isn't a prison. It's the forge where your best ideas are hammered into reality. See you at the Focus Summit. Let's drink coffee. What if I told you that your brain's most notorious vice, procrastination, is actually your sacred weapon? That every time you delay, your mind isn't slacking off. It's gathering raw materials for your greatest breakthroughs. Imagine time freezing, sand hanging motionless in that hourglass behind me, while inside your mind, hacks and bands, plotting strategies you haven't even dreamed of. Today, we'll transform the evil demon of delay into your closest ally. Leveraging dreamer, warrior, perfectionist, synergies to outsmart procrastination itself, ready to make procrastination work for you. Let's ascend. Picture this. You sit at your desk, cursor blinking on a blank page, panic close at your chest. I must start now. You dive in, produce a few lines, and then freeze. That paralyzing voice says, what if it's not perfect? You check Twitter instead. Minutes tick away, anxiety mounting. Now imagine that same stall moment, but you see it as a braving storm, gathering electrical charge for a leap of lightning, creativity about to strike. You remain calm because you know that delay is your mind's way of distilling raw ideas into pure inspiration. Which version of you do you want to be? Procrastination isn't laziness. It's your brain's incubation chamber. The periods you perceive as idle are actually deep cycles of subconscious processing. Deny them and you cycle your own innovation. Neuroscience research reveals the incubation effect. Taking breaks from active problem solving often leads to sudden insights your default mode network. When you are doing nothing, waves together disparate concepts into novel solutions. Plato's cave allegory. Observers chained in darkness. Procrastinators too are chained by guilt, seeing shadows of their potential. But when you step away, those chains fall and you glimpse the forms. Ask yourself, how many genius ideas have you buried under layers of guilt? How many breakthroughs died because you labeled them not now? But if the real failure isn't delay, but ignoring the fertile ground your mind grows when you step back. Delay is not your enemy. It's the unsung hero of creativity. Treat it as such. To harness procrastination, we'll use a three-part DW perfection protocol, blending the dreamer's wild vision, the warrior's caution, and the perfectionist's precision. Each phase turns a trap into a tool. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Not typing aloud, only free forms, doodles, mind map, or voice memos. Let your unconscious ramble. What if we reversed gravity? What if my product sank? Outrageous is good. This activates the default mode network. Your creative crumble resists the urge to judge or refine. Just let it percolate. If you could wave a magic wand, what insane improvement would you conjure? Don't censor yourself. Next, switch hats in 3 minutes. List all the ways your dreamer ideas could employ. Users hate singing apps. Gravity reversal voids physics. Don't hold back. This engages your intramedial prefrontal cortex. Risk assembles center, refining wild ideas into realistic prototypes. For each flow, jot a quick user hate, add mute button. Physics, just simulate with graphics. Marcus Aurelius, practice negative visualization, anticipating worst case to diminish fear. You are applying that to ideas. Now set to 2 minutes timer. Round 1. Refine wording. Drop cliches. Round 2. Tighten visuals or bullet points. Aim for clarity, not perfection. Short bursts circumvent and perfectionist's infinite loop. You guarantee forward momentum. Blaise Pascal wrote just one sentence every day in his Pensives, tiny secrets that produced a masterpiece. If perfectionists refuse to ship anything under 100%, the Mona Lisa never sees the Louvre. Ship quality enough. Congratulations, you have turned procrastination into a structured ritual. Dream to worry to refine, but real power comes when you invite productive delay. Scheduled incubation blocks. Block 15 to 30 minutes daily solely for dreamer warm-ups. No deliverables, only ideation. Label it incubation time on your calendar. Tactical delay. When a flash of doubt stops your mind project, say, I'll incubate this for 10 minutes, then decide. Use a countdown app. That delay often yields the missing insights. These intentional pauses reduce prefrontal cortex fatigue and let dopamine rebound, firing you up for the next sprint. Aristotle, we learn by doing, but we navigate by waiting. Consider Thomas Edison, who took walks to daydream. His incubation ritual then rushed back to wiring prototypes. Or J.K. Rowling, who drafted Harry Potter on train delays, then returned to refine at home. They didn't overcome procrastination. They orchestrated it. Then there is Elena Saras, a UX designer. She set 20-minute daydreamer alarms while sketching. Each pause spawned a new feature idea. Her app's retention rose 30%. They're sacred. They revealed delay as the creative crucifixion, where ideas are reborn stronger. Let's infuse this into your daily rhythm. Morning incubation, 15 minutes of dreamer warm-up before checking emails, for example. Midday reality check, 5-minute warrior scan for project pitfalls. Afternoon refinement sprint, 2 minutes polish around right after lunch. Evening reflection, quick journal of one delayed insight you gained today. This isn't chaos. It's a creative cadence that makes procrastination your powering chord. Procrastination isn't a flaw. It's your mind's upgrade cycle. By mastering the dreamer, warrior, perfectionist protocol, you turn delay into design, fear into foresight, the dove into development. Tonight, pick one element. Schedule your first 5-minute incubation, sketch a catastrophe prototyping well, or set 2-minute refinement timers, then share your process with hashtag Bayfront Brainwave podcast on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, tagging me. I'll highlight the most ingenious workflows in your next live stream. Subscribe, ring the bell, and join our society of procrastinators turned producers. Because remember, your best ideas don't come from endless toil. They emerge from well-crafted pauses. See you at the next breakthrough.